Howdy all, this is Texas Gaming Industries here, and welcome to my newest Let's Play of Railway Empire 2, the sequel to the original Railway Empire, and possibly a sequel to the original Let's Play of Railway Empire that I did once before. So, when the announcement for Railway Empire 2 was announced, I was actually quite ecstatic to see on what kind of changes or upgrades were going to be added to the game. So much, in fact, I've actually got myself the deluxe version, which is going to be used throughout this entire Let's Play of the game. Other than just taking care of the in-game campaign, we're also going to do a couple of the in-game scenarios, as well as exploring the various scenarios in the DLCs, which up to this point is Steel Dragons. With that being said, though, before we get into the campaign, we might as well have a look at the 6 new characters that had been added to the game, and see what they're like. Let's start off with the Professor, Walter Pajonk, who himself was born in Stuttgart, Germany, and he finds railway operations as a game, but he always has considerable impersonational skills. But he himself has the ability to reduce the price of an auction by 30%, all locomotives being 60% cheaper, but he's not very popular, meaning passenger and mail revenue is down by 15%. Next is General Donovan, taking over the role of, General Johnson. Now, other than the shared ability of reducing track construction, with him being 30% lower track construction cost, he unfortunately means that bridges and tunnels will cost 30% higher. But, however, he does have the ability to add 10% extra revenue from both freight and mail transportation, which is going to be pretty good. Next is Madame C.J. Ward, taking over the role as the industrialist. And she herself is, other than her her harsh leadership being a bit harsh, making personnel cost 15% more, rural and urban factories can be upgraded by 30%. Well, their costs are 30% cheaper, but their buildings are actually pretty much 50% their usual costs for any new buildings within a city. Next, we have the engineer, Idris K. Bailey, who himself, born in England, has a very canny or uncanny resemblance to Islam Kingdom Brunel, the former Great Western Railway CME, Chief Mechanical Engineer. But he himself, of course, has the ability to have engines requiring 10% less maintenance. His technical genius allows trackage, building, bridges, and tunnels to be reduced by 20%, but his emotional status means that express trains will earn about only 5% of bonus rather than 10%. Next is the replacement for Don Lorenzo, Barty Shiloh, who himself is, a gangster. He can acquire factories and cities without auctions. He has a 20% chance of refunding the cost of an auction, but he's also self-taught, meaning bridges, tunnels, and tracks, bridges, and tunnels are going to cost 30% more. And finally, we have the entrepreneur, Helene Gerard, who she, of course, is taking over the role of Beatrix von Pump. And with her being French and all, she has the ability to have express trains earn about 20% more money compared to the 10%. Her social skills will result in higher staff efficiency by 5%, but with her safety-conscious mind, maintenance for trains is 20% slower. But with that being said, though, with all the characters now looked at and their abilities all looked at as well, we can now get started into the campaign. I've already done the entirety of the campaign myself, and it's quite interesting to get from Chapter 1 to Chapter 5. But it covers not just the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad from the previous game, but 5 different eras in railway history, both in the United States and in Europe. With that being said, let's get into the first one. The year is 1830 in America. The railroad business takes its first steps. In this chapter, you'll start a technological revolution guided by the hardware entrepreneur who rises just courting. Get to know the economic system of Railway Empire 2 as you conquer the East Coast. We'll have Walter Pajonk as our character, and we're working for the Boston Albany Railroad. And we'll have automatic signals because we'll need those to maintain trains, and everything else is completely unchangeable here. But with that being said, though, let's get into it.
The 19th century was a golden age of technology, especially for those of us whose hearts beat with the steady pace of the locomotive. My name is Nagelmakers. I assume you have already heard of me. When I was young, I had a dream, a cross-border luxury train from Paris to St. Petersburg. To make my dream come true, I invited guests. In another time, entrepreneurs like them were the driving force behind progress, but now they were standing in my way. Take this gentleman, for example. I was planning to revolutionize the industry, just as pioneers like him had done in the early days of the railroad. The late 1820s marked the beginning of a revolution in transportation, both in the Old and the New World. Fueled by steady growth, the industrial centers on the East Coast demanded more and more resources in less and less time. Roads and even the newly built waterways could hardly meet the increasing demand. However, inspired minds had combined the idea of tracks and the new invention of the steam engine into a powder keg that was to shake society to its foundations. It only took ambitious pioneers to light the fuse.
Glad you're here. The name is Corning, Erastus Corning. You must be the young railroad expert that was recommended to me. Other people don't think much of this newfangled nonsense, but I think investment into this railroad thing and your company is money well spent. I'm the proud owner of a hardware company, and the more railway lines you construct using my steel, the richer I'll get, so don't go bankrupt. But why don't you just get started using the to-do list I created? My company is situated in Albany, so you should connect this city as soon as possible. Don't worry about the difficult terrain. Clever planning is everything.
Indeed. Welcome to America in the 1830s. Our company is settled in the city of Boston, Massachusetts on the East Coast. We're not the only railroad here, as there is a rival railroad running from New York City down south to Charlottesville. And there's a lot of connection bonuses around here as well, including Albany. Now, let's have a quick look at our tasks. We need to deliver 8 loads of lumber to Boston. Mr. Corning has already built the first station at a lumber yard nearby, which is going to be put into operation immediately. Livestock is also offered at this lumber yard. If necessary, you can prioritize wood by selecting the station on the station list and the player line. We also need to deliver 8 loads of sugar to Boston, as well as transport 320 passengers without changing trains from Boston to Portland, Maine, and reach 25,000 residents in Boston. So we got Boston, Massachusetts, along with Portland, Maine, and Bangor, Maine, as well as nearby Albany. We don't have, along with a couple of other cities too. Flamingo Rail Incorporated full steam ahead, Grasshopper reaches 15 miles an hour. Okay? So we can travel as far as London, Ontario, and far south as Norfolk, Virginia. But we're going to be focusing on the lines on this side of the coast in Albany for now. First of all, let's get rid of this station at Boston and showcase that in this version of the game, stations can now be built up to 8 tracks, meaning 8 trains can use the station at one time. And let's start off our trackage by connecting Boston, Massachusetts to Portland, Maine. Let's build the track out. Let's see if we can reduce this percentage to 0. Alright, and then carefully build along the coast to Portland, Maine. Let's construct the track, and we can also have the ability to double track it. And this can go all the way to the 8th track. However, building extra platforms will cost a lot of money. So we're just going to stick with just 2 rails to 4 rails for now. And there's also the city of Bangor, Maine, that we can also connect to. Let's extend the track out from Portland, Maine, out of the city, go up by a 1% grade to Bangor, and connect it on platform 4. Oh, and let's try getting rid of that tunnel too. Double track it there, and we'll wait until we get the other tracks finished, because we need to also connect Bangor to Boston. Now, you might notice there's a bit of a white border around the cities. This is actually where this unique gameplay mechanic comes in. You cannot actually lay tracks in city borders unless it's connecting to a station. There are some instances of where this won't be an issue, but this will be a thing that will keep appearing in some of the later missions of this campaign and in the scenarios. We'll connect it here with a 2% grade, which would be the maximum. And then we'll do this, and the tracks are now finished. But we also have the camel stop, which produces both logs and livestock. We'll connect the tracks from here and connect it to the main line via this switch, as well as connecting this track to Boston via this switch. This will leave the track in the middle, situated for delivering livestock down to Portland because of it having a meatpacking industry. Let's see. Let's do this. 18 miles an hour. That is, that's a bit slow. 30 miles an hour. That's much better. Let's see. 4%. 2%. Okay, this should work. Then we'll set up another track to connect it to back to the camel stop, and then we'll start adding the signals in the respective directions. And you might notice that with stations, there are no automatic switches to allow trains to enter the platforms. This is where the new gridiron mechanic comes in. As long as there's ample space, I can easily place one down to allow all trains on these tracks to enter one of the 4 platforms. Boston Albany Railroad increases track length, going over 881 miles, in just less than 2 weeks of our company's founding. Next, we'll place down a station here next to this sugar plantation. And the next thing we need to do is to also bring in loads of logs to Bangor, as well as delivering cotton from this cotton plantation into Bangor. Let's see, 2% is the maximum. As you can see, even though there's tracks going into the city, if it's going onto a track that's already connected into said city, they'll actually allow it. Now then. Oh, I should have had actually set track 2 instead. There we go. Then we just have to do is just connect both tracks again. Place down this gridiron on this. And do the same by connecting this line here. And this line here to allow sugar to be transported into Portland. Place down gridiron there. And another one outside of Bangor. Let's see. Oh, right, we also have to switch the tracks directions going in the proper directions here as well. Let's see. Same for this one, going out from Portland, Maine to Bangor. Let's see. Oh, this part too. Alright, that should take care. Oh, what? Why is it not it's the wrong direction, of course. Alright, with that in mind, we'll now need to place down some surfacing towers to allow our locomotives to fill up with water, sand, as well as lubricants. Let's see. Alright, the surfacing facilities have been set, but let's add another station here. Other than connecting to this logging camp, we can also connect to this salt mine later on. But salt is not needed in big cities right now because there's not an actual demand for it. Do this as well to speed up construction and time. And next we'll need to also connect this cotton plantation to the main line to deliver cloth into Bangor. With trains coming in, not only I'm helping the industries produce more and more product faster than being brought in by horse-drawn wagons, but this will make it a lot, well, I'll practically be making money off of this operation too. We'll do this as well. Set the directions. Set this here. And set this here. Oh wait, it's on single track. Never mind. And also set up a servicing facility for locomotives. Finally, we also have this sugar plantation right near New York. So we might as well start extending our tracks out to bring in sugar into Boston. Let's see. 0%, that is what I'm looking for, since our trains are going to be small and not capable of handling heavy loads right now. Later eras will have locomotives that are much more powerful to handle much more steeper graded track. Let's see. This, that, and this, and then place down that, and let's extend the track to that sugar plantation. 3%, no. 2%, come on, give me a proper one. 2%. 0%, 0%. That is good. This line will be used solely for connecting Boston to Albany. And the line going on from Boston to New York will be using the other track. 3%. Is there a 2% I can get? Yeah, this one. Then we'll connect it here. 3%. Not what I was expecting, but I'll let it 3% be the maximum of the school railroad. And there's also a fruit farm nearby, so if Boston gets big enough, and according to the industries list, other than producing meat and cloth, we can also make beer, clothing, lumber, dairy products, furniture, pottery, and knickers. But there's also this reserve lot, which will allow us to save an industry space for us to use later on, once we have enough cash to build said industry. But it will require 500 coins a week. Yeah, there's also no more individual currencies for a particular region. All of it is under coins now. Next, we'll need to build up some maintenance facilities for our locomotives, so we'll take out a quick bond to build some. Now, in the previous game, well, in the original Railway Empire, I was able to get 2 bonds, but now I'm only stuck to 1 until I start earning some real money and building up my company value. Not to mention, there's also some innovation points we can unlock. We can unlock the warehouse, which will allow cargo to be transferred to other trains for further destinations, and foundations will allow us to reduce our bridge construction by 5%. As for locomotives, as you also notice, press the spacebar, that will pause the game. We only have 2 locomotives, the Grasshopper and the John Bull, this variant being exclusive to the deluxe version. We also have the Dunham, the Duet, and the Firefly, the latter 2 being European designs. This is because the game actually adds European locomotives into American scenarios. But the American engines in European scenarios will swap out for European designs. So we'll just focus on using American designs as much as possible in the American maps and European designs in the European maps. And the cool thing is we can actually also paint the locomotives. So we can give this locomotive a standard paint scheme and add a little red for the safety valve on the top. And as for the jump hole, we'll give it a bit of a, let's see, we'll give it a dark green. Give it the black stack, black frames, and black wheels. And with that being said, let's get started on some operations. We'll use the grasshopper to transport loads of livestock and lumber to Boston, and deliver loads of livestock and logs to Portland. As well as doing the same for delivering logs to Bangor. We'll also do the same for delivering loads of logs to Bangor as well. Cotton to, well, Bangor for cloth production. Sugar from Moore to Portland, Maine, and then sugar to Bangor. And also delivering sugar to Boston. With that, we can now also start running some passenger trains. We'll start off with a passenger train from Boston, BTN, to Portland, Maine, being PME. Put a P for passenger. And we'll just swap them actually. Hang on. PME, BTN, P. And no, I have not selected my engine yet. But with Express, it will only pick up loads of passengers and mail. We'll do the same for PME to Bangor, BGR, and passenger. And also finally do an Express from Boston to Bangor, BTN to BGR, and make it a passenger train as well. And finally, a revenue freight from Boston to Bangor, because it's carrying cloth to Bangor. Well, carrying cloth from Bangor back to Boston. We'll swap the destination, the starting destination, and add the grasshopper. And now, we can finally start the simulation. John Bull conquers railroad network. Model kit for real railroaders. Well, real railway workers. Alright. We got our first trains rolling, and soon enough, the deliveries of logs and everything else will eventually get the cities very excited and give us connection bonuses, which we can use to pay back as much as the bond we have borrowed from the bank. 125,000 coins, then 250,000 coins, and soon enough, the first load of logs from Bangor to Bangor, 250,000.
Right. My company owes you.
We can now pay back our bond for now, and our equipment is finally getting everything going. We got passengers being shipped, we got freight being delivered to towns, and soon enough we'll start making a lot of money and eventually expanding our trackage to Albany, New York. But with that being said though, I believe this is a pretty good ending point for today's episode. So if you had enjoyed my first episode of my Let's Play of Railway Empire 2, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to Texas Gaming Industries for new video uploads every Friday or Saturday depending on my outside schedule. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all in the next episode. So until then, so long, partner.